how to identify polynomial functions. So here's the definition, and then I'm going to try to put it in Dr. B language. Let n be a non-negative integer, and let a sub n, let a sub n minus 1, a sub 2, a sub 1, a sub 0 be real numbers, where a sub n is not equal to 0. That is the definition of a polynomial function. Basically, well, this is the beginning of it. Let me say the beginning of it. But before I even jump in to show you what they look like, because you've seen them before, I want to make sure you know what real numbers are. So you look at this block right here. These represent real numbers. So this, if you think of this as this is your real numbers, this is the whole world. So you have irrational numbers over here, and then you have your rational numbers over here. But both of these sides here make up real numbers. And you're probably like, well, Dr. B, why does it matter? Because in math you have imaginary numbers. Yeah. You have you're gonna have some imaginary numbers, so you have real numbers. So on this side, these are just your irrational numbers, like e, pi, square root of 2. Okay, these are going to be like numbers that don't repeat, go on forever. They're irrational. They're just doing the most. So if you think of numbers that do the most, besides imaginary numbers, it's these irrational numbers. The irrational. Now, your rational numbers are numbers that you're used to. Like, for example, your counting numbers. Counting numbers, when you learn to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Natural, I think sometimes they call them natural, but you're counting numbers, okay? And then from counting numbers, you jump to whole numbers, where whole numbers are just 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the only difference between your counting numbers and your whole numbers is going to be now you've incorporated 0. And then you jump into integers. Now notice counting numbers is small, and then whole numbers includes your counting numbers, and then integers includes whole numbers and counting numbers. So when they say real numbers, they mean anything in this box here, okay? Most of the time you're going to see numbers that are over here that are rational. And when they say non-negative, they mean positive. So where your n's are positive, and then your integers, let me give you those. So -1, -2, -3, 0, 1, 2, 3. The numbers that you would see on a number line. Now, integers would also include, like if you had 4 over 2, because that's really 2. So that would really include your integers. So it's your positive and negative numbers. And then when you're talking about fractions and decimals, those are going to be your rational numbers. But all of these kind of fall under the rational numbers, and then just know the irrational numbers are going to be the ones that don't repeat. They go on forever and ever. You don't know when they stop. They're totally irrational. So just remember that. And then imaginary numbers, but we won't cover that here. So here's the rest of the definition of how to identify polynomial functions. So if you have n, that's a non-negative integer, meaning it's a positive integer, and all of these constants represent real numbers. They're real numbers. They're not imaginary numbers. They're real numbers. And this first a sub n is not equal to 0. Then this is what the polynomial function looks like. Just like that. Okay, you have f of x. Remember, when you're talking about functions, you use f of x. But when you're talking about equations, you use y. Okay, so y is the same thing as f of x is essentially what I'm saying. Y and f of x. Y if you're talking about equations, f of x if you're talking about functions. So they represent the same thing, okay? Don't think anything different. And then x is the same on either side. So this is what it looks like. You have your coefficient that's tied to a term, and then your term has a non-negative integer as a power. The number that's in front here, that's on the term, that's attached to the variable with the highest power, that is called your leading coefficient. That's leading everything, okay? Now, you're probably looking at this and you're like, this don't look like nothing I've seen before. Let me show you some examples, okay? So here are some examples of polynomial functions. And if I go back to this definition, I want you to pay attention that the exponent is not negative. Okay, it's a positive exponent. And then I also want you to pay attention that the leading term and the leading coefficient is not 0. The leading term is at the beginning, and the leading term is attached to the variable with the highest power, the largest exponent, okay? So let's look at this first one. Or let's look at all of these, really, and we're just going to go through them. So x squared plus 14x plus 45. This is a polynomial function. Why? Because each coefficient that's attached to the variable, it's a real number, and the exponents that are on the variables are non-negative. Okay, you don't have any fractional, you don't have like 1/2 or anything like that up there. So this makes it a polynomial function, okay? It has a leading coefficient of 1. Now remember, you don't write the 1, it's understood 1, and anything higher than 1 you write. And then the degree of a polynomial function, did I have that on the last page? Let me see. I did not. The degree of a polynomial function is the exponent on the biggest, the largest term, okay? So this says x squared, right? This says x squared, this just says x, and this doesn't have it. This has a degree of 2 because this is the largest power on the variable. That's how you want to see that. It's the largest power on the variable. Let's look at this second one. This second one has a leading coefficient of -3. You see that? It's the leading coefficient of -3 because this is the largest term, if you want to call it that. This has an x squared that does not have an x tied to it. So this is the largest term because the 5 is the biggest. So this polynomial function has a degree of 5, and real numbers are okay. This is a real number. And you're like, well, Dr. Anderson, you said it's irrational. The square root of 2 is irrational, but remember that entire rectangle represented your real numbers. It's not an imaginary number. It is a real number. It just happens to be an irrational real number. So, but this still works, okay? What about this one? This one has a leading coefficient of -1. Now, how many of y'all said 18? If I were to write this in order, it would be -x to the 6 minus 3x to the 5th, right? Plus 18x to the 4th. If I were to write it in descending power order, now when you look at it, this is the largest power, x to the 6. So that's why it has a degree of 6. So anytime they write it in different ways, which you'll see these terms written in different ways, pay attention to what the largest term is, okay? That has the largest variable, the largest exponent on the variable, which is x to the 6. And then write in descending power order. Okay, let's look at this next one. Is this a polynomial function? Good, it's not. Why? Why? Because there's a fraction in the exponent. Remember, your exponent has to be non-negative integers. Integers are positive and negative numbers, not the fractions, not the decimals. So that's why this is not. So no fractions, okay? No fractions in the exponents, okay? So that is not a polynomial function, okay? Let's look at this next one. Why isn't this one not a polynomial function? Remember, the definition said that all of our powers had to be non-negative, okay? We want these to be non-negative integers. The powers on the variables, they need to be non-negative integers. Easy peasy? Okay, so this is what they look like. And what I'm going to do, we're just going to go through and say, okay, how do they look? How do you do the graph? What's the end behavior? All of that, and it's totally going to make sense.